Hello, my dear listeners. Welcome to the Healing Station. Here at the Healing Station, we receive healing. We receive our healing for physical sickness. We receive our healing for mental problems. We receive our healing for financial problems. We receive our healing for psychological problems. We receive our healing for emotional issues. Because God begins to do a new thing in our lives, healing us, preserving us, restoring us, comforting us. We become precious in His sight. He gives us Egypt for our ransom, Ethiopian Seba for us, Isaiah 43, and He comforts us, Isaiah 51. And He becomes due for us. He heals our backslidings and loves us freely and becomes due for us, Hosea 4:14. For Hosea 14. He heals us. He heals our backsliding. He loves us freely. And then He becomes due for us so that we begin to enjoy growth of a different level altogether. Growth of a different level altogether, growing upwards and growing downwards. Our roots becoming deeper and deeper, and our branches becoming bigger and bigger. Hosea 14. Today our topic is on the seventh day. On the seventh day. And we are talking about kings. And we are saying, what is this that kings do on the seventh day? We are talking about kings. What is this that kings do on the seventh day? And we are talking about two kings. The King of Kings, the Lord of Lords. And then we are talking about King Ahaseriaus. King Ahaseriaus, Esther, in the book of Esther. Esther chapter 1. So we talk about two kings and what they are going to do on the seventh day, or what has happened to them on the seventh day. We start with the King of Kings, Jehovah. So Jehovah, Genesis chapter 1 and chapter 2, Jehovah begins to create the earth and everything that's therein. He creates the sea and everything that's therein. He creates the lights, the sun for the day and the moon for the night. He divides the sea and the land so that there is dry land and then there is sea. And He makes sure that the sea is populated with animals and with creatures, and is populated with vegetation. He also makes sure that the earth is populated with people, populated with the animals, and populated with vegetation of all manner of herbs, all manner of trees, all manner of insects, all manner of animals. And then when He's done, He creates man, He forms man. And then when He forms man, He's happy. And He says everything is good. He looks around and says, it is very good. What I've done is very good. Before that, there was only darkness. There was a deep darkness, and the Spirit of God hovered over the waters. There were only waters and deep darkness. But now He has separated so that they see, and there is dry land, and there are animals. And then now He has created man, and He's happy. He says, what I've done is very good. And He rests on the seventh day. He rested. Now in chapter 2, after He had created man, after He had created all these things, he said, it is very good. And then on the seventh day, He rested. On the seventh day, He rested. On the seventh day, He rested. He rested. He rested, happy with His good work, saying, it is very good what I've done. And then He rested. Then we come to Esther chapter 1. We talk about a different king, King Ahaseriaus. Now, the first thing about King Ahaseriaus is that he had a big empire. He had a very, very vast empire, going all the way from India and all the way into Ethiopia. All this big, big empire, 127 provinces. This is one person reigning over 127 provinces, all the way from India to Ethiopia. Very many people were under Ahasuerus the king. So on the third year of his reign, he declared that for 180 days, he was going to have a ceremony where he would declare his wealth. 180 days, he invited all manner of people, great and small. He invited his princes, the nobles of the provinces, the heads of the provinces, the nobles, the princes, and his servants, and all other big, big individuals, powerful individuals. They came so that he could show them the riches of his glorious system, and the honor of his majesty, to show them his wealth, to declare his wealth, to declare to them his wealth and the vastness of his kingdom. And the Shushan the palace. The venue was Shushan the palace, where everything was made of gold and silver and marble and red and blue and scarlet, and the beds were of gold and silver. Beds were of gold and silver, made with red and blue and marble. A beautiful system. And the curtains, we are also told about the curtains. So we are being told that it's a beautiful system. Shushan the palace. So then after this 180 days where he was declaring his wealth, when the 180 days had expired, he declared a feast. He began to have a feast. And he invited everybody. Everybody that was in Shushan the palace was invited for the feast, both great and small. Again, the nobles from the empires and the big people, the nobles, and his princes, all of them also attended the feast. And the rule was that everyone was going to eat as much as they could and even more. And the rule was that royal wine was going to flow. People to take royal wine as much as possible. Everybody to their measure. That was the officers. The officers received a memo that told them you're going to serve the people as much wine as anybody can, what an individual can handle, to their measure, for their pleasure, to their measure, and for their pleasure. There was plenty of wine for everybody. So now, but on the seventh day, now in verse 10, we are told on the seventh day, he commanded. His heart was merry with wine. His heart was merry with wine, and he commanded. He commanded. On the seventh day, he commanded. Now, what did he command? He commanded that Queen Vashti be brought before him, be brought before the people to show her beauty to the people. And Queen Vashti refused. She was not coming. Queen Vashti was also holding her own feast on another side of the palace. And then when she was told that the king says the king is merry with wine, and he says, come before me, Queen Vashti refused. And the king became very, very perturbed. And he wondered what happens now. And he began to ask his people, what happens when your own wife defies you, when the queen defies you? And they told him, if you don't do anything quickly, all the men on the land will now, all the women in the land will become so powerful, and the men will become so subdued, so you have to do something. So he was advised to declare that a new queen is going to be set on the throne, and that Queen Vashti is no longer the queen of this vast throne. So that's what happened on the seventh day. On the seventh day, when the heart of the king was merry, he commanded. But unfortunately, Queen Vashti refused to appear before the big group to show her beauty. All she needed to do was appear before them looking beautiful in her beautiful home, beautiful robes and beautiful clothes, and her beautiful makeup, just to parade before them. But she refused. But now we are not talking about Queen Vashti. We are not worried about Queen Vashti. We are not worried. We are thinking and only meditating about the seventh day. And we are saying that on the seventh day, the king's heart was merry, and he commanded. On the seventh day, the king's heart was merry, and he commanded. On the seventh day, the king's heart was merry, and he commanded. He had held a feast, and in that feast, he had given a decree that people can take as much royal wine as possible. Both great and small, all the people that had attended the feast could take as much wine as possible. And he was drunk. His heart was merry with wine, and he commanded. On the seventh day, he commanded. Today at the Healing Station, we are saying that God is making a feast for us. In Isaiah 25, God says that He'll make for us a feast of fat things. God Almighty says, I'll make for you a feast of fat things. He'll make a feast of fat things, a feast of wines on the lees, of fat things full of fat things full of flesh, of wines on the lees. He's going to make a feast of fat things for us. He's going to swallow up death so that death has no victory. He's going to change our lives, swallowing up death so that death has no victory. And he's making for us a feast of fat things, a feast of wines on the lees, of fat things full of marrow, wines on the lees well refined. Of wines on the lees well refined. God himself is making for us a feast of fat things, full of wine. We are going to take as much wine as possible, like during the time of King Ahaseriaus in that feast, where he had declared that every man should be given as much wine as possible to their measure, to every man's measure and to every man's pleasure. And God is telling us in Isaiah 25 that is going to make for us a feast of fat things, a feast of wines on the lees, of fat things full of marrow, wines links on the reeds, of fat things full of marrow, of wines links on the reeds, well refined. Thank you very much. Kindly share, subscribe, like, comment, and welcome to this feast. Welcome to this feast where we're going to take as much wine as possible and our hearts are going to be merry. We are going to take wine well refined, and God is making for us a feast of fat things, and our hearts are going to be merry. No more weeping, no more suffering, no more crying. God is making for us a feast of fat things, no more death. God is making for us a feast of fat things. Thank you very much.